Hi, good afternoon students and welcome to Bridge Course Biology class. We are in the continuation with the tissue concept and already we have completed a plant tissue concept. So in the previous class we observed that complex permanent tissue in the form of xylem and phloem. That is briefly, not thoroughly. Actually thoroughly related tissue concept you are getting in your syllabus when we will start your syllabus. So there is one particular chapter, morphology of flowering plants. So in that chapter thoroughly we will come to know what tissues are, what they are meant for, and what is their location, what functions they are going to perform. So all the concepts will come to know thoroughly. So here briefly we have completed that plant concept, plant tissue concept. So in this video let us see the animal tissue concept. And before going to the class, so in the previous video as usual I asked a question. The question is that how the water get pumped to a maximum height, that is the tip of the plant, from the root system in upward direction. Suppose if you are performing the same work, means we are using the electrical motor, that means we are providing the external energy. What is the electrical energy? What is that electrical pump? What is that electrical motor in case of the plants? So ask that question simply, how that water get pumped to the height region in upward conduction, upward direction. So ask that question, and as usual many students have answered for that question, and I felt very happy for the answers that you given by you students, you people. So for mentioning few of them, so actually many students are there already, and for mentioning those students, Amargonda, Amogha, Suhas, Supreet, Bhavana, Basavraj, Sunil Nakundi, and Sindhu Bhiradar, Megha, Tejashwini, Spurti, Bhagya, and so many members actually. But actually I felt these members answer very thoroughly and very neat, accurate. So according to the question, if you consider that question, how the water get pumped, means here three forces are getting used. So the major thing is because of sunlight. When sunlight get fall on the surface of the leaf or surface of the plant, so it will start absorbing the water. Process is called as transpiration. When water get evaporated from the leaf, so inside the leaf water content will be less, and below that leaf holding part and below the stem here water concentration is already there. Now here leaf is having lower water concentration, beside it is water, it is having more water concentration. Now always water will move from the region of higher concentration to the lower concentration. Now water start moving. So that is one force, and downside water again lifted, that's a downside water again lifted. So because of water continuously moving out of the leaf because of the transpiration caused by the sunlight, so here also continuously water is moving in the upward direction. So that means sun is pulling the water, right? Sun is pulling the water in upward direction, that we will call it as a transpiration pull. So that is first thing. Second thing, so here root, imagine if this is the root, means it is surrounded by the soil, soil is having the plenty amount of water right now, that water enters inside by the osmosis or by the diffusion process, water continuously enters. But here root is very thin, root diameter is very small. When continuously water enters, inside a pressure get created, right? When that pressure created, that pressure will push the water a little bit upper side. If this is the root, means root will absorb the water, and because of the pressure generated here, it will push the water upper side. We will call it as a root pressure. Because of root pressure, water get moving upper side to some extent. So here this is the pushing process. Here it is pushing, that one is pulling. Pulling and pushing, because of these two processes water will move continuously inside the plant. And one more thing, water molecules are having the beautiful properties, two major properties, cohesion and adhesion. Cohesion means one water molecule will always get connected with another water molecule, that water molecule connected with another one, that water molecule connected with another one. All the water molecules are having the attraction properties, they are in continuous contact with each other. Because of that reason they form a water chain, right? and that water molecule, those water molecules, they are having another special property of combining or attaching with other substance, right? So that we will call it as adhesion property. First one cohesion, next one adhesion. Because of that reason, water continuously form a channel, so through the xylem, that's how the water get conducted continuously. Yes, so many members have given this answer only, accurate answers. Thanks for all the people. And yes, coming to our interesting session of this class. So one student, Sahana Auti asked a question. Here is a video question. Let's see the question first and have the discussion on that question later. Yes, see the question first.
My name is Sahana. Here my question is that why do our fingers absorb water and become wrinkle? Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Sahana. So what is Sahana's question here? When our palm or when our fingers or when our sole of the foot, when those are present in the water for longer time, if you observe our palm, it will be wrinkled. It will be wrinkled or swollen and color get changed and it will be very soft at that time. Why it is so? Her question is, her simple question is, so the total palm skin gets wrinkled and it is swollen when it is present in the water for longer time. Why it is so? Yes, thank you Sana for asking that question. So here if you want to look at that one, imagine inside the water some pebbles are there here. Imagine some small stone pebbles are present and those stone pebbles since many days they are present in water only, hence those are very slippery, right? Those stones, all the pebbles are very slippery, and suddenly if we dip our hand and if you want to try to take it outside, that pebble outside, means those pebbles are very slippery, just like soap. We cannot hold them properly. Why? Because those are very slippery. But thing is, imagine we are also in the water, in that water body, we are playing in the water body, and our all the palms and all the sole of the foot get wrinkled and swollen. At that time, if you hold the pebbles, we can hold them very tightly and griply. Yes, I think now you are getting my point. When we are present in the water for longer time, so here we will get the marks, wrinkles. Those wrinkles are helpful for holding any water objects. Why? Because now we are present in the water, so those are very helpful for holding the grip on the water body. This is the evolutionary change, one change, right? And why it happens so means, why such kind of wrinkles are appearing means, below the skin, just below the skin, so there are a lot of blood vessels, and those blood vessels, when we are in continuous touch with water, when our skin get continuous touch with water, those blood vessels, they get constricted. That means area of blood vessel will decrease. So for example, if this is the blood vessel, through the blood vessel blood is flowing with one certain amount of blood pressure means, so when this area will contract, that means constriction of blood vessel will occur, and because of that, and that is controlled by a special nervous system, autonomic nervous system. Autonomic nervous system means this nervous system will control involuntary activities of our body. Say for example, heartbeat, breathing, sweating. So those activities get controlled by autonomic nervous system. That autonomic nervous system will control this activity, right? So our skin will get wrinkled, and obvious thing is their continuous osmosis process is occurring continuously. So the water is in touch with those cells. So majorly for holding the aquatic objects, which are submerged objects in the water, to hold them properly, we will be having those wrinkles when we are prolonged in touch with water. So that is the thing. Yes, thank you Sahana. And coming to our concept, tissues, and we have successfully completed the plant tissues. So let me start with animal tissue concept. And thing is, as already we know, tissue means a group of cells performing the similar functions, having the similar morphology, like that, similar structure. Such kind of group of cells we will refer them as a tissue. And here coming to our animal tissues is, so here in the animal tissues we are having majorly 4 categories. And imagine, just already I have told you, tissue means performing one specific function. So here, depending on their functions, we have categorized the animal tissues, all animal tissues throughout the body, categorized into 4 types. The first one is, okay, let me write here. The first one is epithelial tissue, the first one, and the second one is muscular tissue, and the third one is connective tissue, and the fourth one, major one, nervous tissue. Yes, so like this we have categorized the all tissues into 4 types here. Epithelial tissue, if we consider the first one, as already I have told you, epi means it is the upper one, covering one. Which one is the skin of the plant body? So in 2 class back I explained that one. Yes, epidermis. How epidermis there in case of the plant, like that we are having epithelial, just. So epithelial means this is the covering tissue. The simple way I can convey here is that one as covering a tissue. Yes, then what it is covering means, it is covering entire our body in the form of skin. That means skin what we are having right now, that skin layer is nothing but epithelial tissue. Yes, we are having the covering tissue in the form of skin, and inside our body we are having so many organs. That means we are having the lungs, we are having the heart, we are having the kidney, we are having the stomach, so many things, organs we are having. Those organs outer covering, that is again made up of epithelial tissue. And not only that one, inside our body there is gap, coelom is there here. I think most of you have seen the dead body dissection. When they are dissecting the dead body, when they will cut the dead body in this manner, they will open the body, and inside there will be digestive system and heart and the lungs, other different parts. When they are going to remove all those organs, so inside there is a drum like structure, there is a cavity, there is a gap. So that gap covering also done by epithelial tissue. So it will cover either inner parts and externally, that epithelial tissue. And in the same way, if we consider the muscular tissue, muscles, the term itself is there here. So muscular tissue, its main function is movement. Movement of entire body itself, or movement of the limbs, or movement of the inner body parts, either it may be related to the locomotion or just a slight movement, whatever it might be. So the movement, it is because of this muscular tissue. So for example, right now if I am walking means that is because of muscular tissue. Right now if I am moving my hand means this is because of muscular tissue. Right now if I am blinking my eyelids means that is because of this tissue. Heart beating, stomach working, kidney working. So inside, so for example, if I am breathing means my chest, it is showing the movement, that is also because of muscular tissue. Movement if we get means that is because of this tissue. And the same way if we consider the third one, connective tissue. So as the name itself indicates, it helps in connecting two different parts of the animal body. So this connecting tissue work is just connecting different parts. Say for example, now imagine heart is going to pump, it is going to expand. When heart will expand or pump, the blood comes outside. That coming outside blood, it will go to all other body parts. While it is going, it will take oxygen, it will take digested food, it will take useful materials. and it will provide to all other cells, all the tissues, and again coming back to the heart. That means heart, it is not directly connected with all the body parts, or in the simple way, right now heart is having the oxygen inside. That oxygen should be supplied to all the cells, but heart itself cannot go to all the every cell. So heart will just push the blood will connect those parts, that means heart to other body parts. Or say for example, skin is there here. If you remove one layer of skin, so below we are having muscles, strong muscles right now. Yes, say for example, if I remove one layer here, so here skin below we are having strong muscles. After the muscles we are inside having the bones. At the center we are having the bones. That means we can see the three layers. Bone, say for example, let me consider this one here. Let me consider the bone, right? After the bone we are having muscles. So these are the muscles, and muscles usually present in the fiber like structure. We are having the muscles, and after the muscles we are having this skin. Yes, we are having the skin. Imagine, not exactly like this, just I am briefly showing these structures. Actually different many layers will be there here. Skin outer layer, muscles and bone, say for example in my hand. So skin layer is different, muscle property is different, bone property is different. That means all these are different kinds of tissues, but different kinds of tissues are connected with the help of one gum like structure in between. That gum like structure, it will be present here in between. So this is the gum like structure, right? So this gum like structure which is connecting different parts, that will considered as connective tissue, connecting different parts, right? And blood is best connecting tissue, bone is best connecting tissue. And in the same way we are having one more interesting tissue, that is the nervous tissue. So here one interesting thing is that compared to all other tissues, right, comparing epithelial, muscular and connective tissue, this is the tissue present throughout the body in the scattered form, and this is the very fastest working tissue compared to all other tissues. So, and one more thing, all of these tissues at somewhere else at some point controlled by this tissue. So it is a major tissue, it is a vast tissue. And this nervous tissue, that means when we will consider our brain, when we will consider our spinal cord, all they are coming in the category of this nervous tissue. So nervous tissue major work is controlling and coordinating. Controlling other parts as well as coordination, making the successful coordination between the two different parts. So like that we are having 4 different kinds of tissues. So among these tissues, let me consider the first one. What is that first one? Yes, epithelial tissue. Yes, if we consider this epithelial tissue, as already I have told you, this is the covering tissue. This epithelial tissue is having different types. So majorly, if you want to consider on the basis of the shape of the epithelial cells, the first one, squamosal epithelial tissue, ET means epithelial tissue, and the second one is columnar epithelial tissue, the second one, and the third one is cuboidal epithelial tissue, right? And the fourth one is ciliary epithelial tissue, and next one is glandular epithelial tissue. So on the basis of the types, that means shapes, we can separate the epithelial tissue into so many types here. So if we consider this squamosal epithelial tissue, usually the cells are present in the polygonal shape like this. So this is one cell, and getting connected with another cell, second epithelial cell, that is connected with the third epithelial cell, and here downside also getting connected with the epithelial cells. So this is the next epithelial cell, and this is the next epithelial cell. So like that, so many epithelial cells get connected here. Yes, polygonal shaped cells. And a major thing is, this polygonal epithelial cells, they do not have any gap. There is no gap actually in between the cells. There is no gap. So for example, let me consider skin layer. Imagine this is a skin layer. If we zoom out our skin by the microscope or by any super lens, then we can see this kind of cells, and there is no gap in between the cells. That means intercellular space is absent. If the intercellular space is present, means continuously microorganisms can enter inside the cell. So in order to avoid that one, here those cells are compactly packed. But something, in some places they might be having some pores, and these pores we will call them as sweat pores. They might be having the sweat pores. In order to make the sweat to come outside, sweat pores may be there, and those are also having the hairy structures, right? If it is the skin, trichomes, skin hairs are present over here. And in the same way, we can see this squamosal epithelial tissue in case of alveoli of lungs. Alveoli of lungs means, say for example, imagine if this is our lungs, we are having two lungs. In one lung, actually this is the trachea. Trachea get divided into so many branches, right? So many branches are present here, and just like a tree, how the tree get bifurcated, in the same way. So inside the lungs we can see this kind of structure, and those structures will end with finally a small sac-like structures, small bulb sac-like structures. So we will refer all these sac-like structures as alveoli. So the alveoli means a small sac-like structure, ಸಣ್ಣ ಚೀಲ ತರ ಒಂದು ಸ್ಟ್ರಕ್ಚರ್ ಅದು. ಸೊ ದ ಲೇಯರ್ ಆಫ್ alveoli, again it is made up of squamosal epithelial tissue. But thing is, here the squamosal epithelial tissue is semi permeable. It helps in the exchange of gases, oxygen and carbon dioxide. Actually the alveoli get surrounded by the blood vessels. Here they get surrounded by the blood vessels. So between the blood and the alveoli, gases will be exchanged continuously. And body in inner organs, all the layers, so body cavity layer covered by this kind of squamosal epithelial tissue. It is one covering tissue. And if we consider the second one, columnar epithelial tissue. Columnar epithelial tissue means, the name itself suggests, the cells present in the columnar shape, right? So the cells are present in the longitudinal columnar shape, all these are cells, and below we can see a basement membrane, and that basement membrane, it is having the fibrous material. To the basement membrane, those cells are attached very firmly. So longitudinal cells these are, and here these longitudinal cells usually they help in absorbing any kind of materials, or they may provide major space for anything to happen. So this kind of cells will refer them as columnar, and we will observe the columnar epithelial tissue in case of intestine. The wall of intestine. So there inside we can see the columnar epithelial tissue, and here the food get digested here. Yes. And usually this layer will be covered by mucus. That layer usually covered by the mucous membrane, shining layer, slight. And the same way if we consider cuboidal epithelial tissue, only the difference is here I am talking about the shape. Here the cells are present in the cube shape. As usual, they are covered by the fibrous layer, and here the cells are present in a cube shape. And this kind of cells we are going to observe in case of the glands. For example, salivary gland. Where that salivary gland is present? Where is saliva? Our buccal cavity is having the saliva. Saliva get released by some glands, some special organs. So some of the glands will be present here, and some of the glands will be present inner side here, and those salivary glands are having the cuboidal epithelial tissue, this kind of cells, covering cells. And the same if we consider the major one, ciliary epithelial tissue. Ciliary epithelial tissue means same columnar or cuboidal cells, they are having some special mentions here, some small structures here, outer structures, small hairy structures. We will call these small hairy structures as cilia. Yes, just like paramecium. And here also they might be having a small hair like structures. These are the cilia structures. And imagine cilia structures means just like our toothbrush, how the toothbrush will be having small fibrous structures. In the same way, many cilia will be present, and those cilia will be moving in this direction. Say for example, if this is one cilia, means cilia will be beating or moving in this direction. If all the cilia together they are moving, they are making this kind of movement, means whatever the substance is present upper side, that substance will move. So such kind of a ciliary epithelial tissue, and this is the very important tissue in case of the digestive system or in case of the respiratory system, right? So we can see this kind of tissue in digestive system tract, digestive system or respiratory system. Yes, so this is about the ciliary. And if we consider this glandular epithelial tissue, the name itself suggests this kind of epithelial tissue will be present in the glands, glandular epithelial tissue. That means their major function is secretion, secretion of hormones or secretion of enzymes. So releasing of hormones, such kind of glands are covered by the glandular epithelial tissue. Either glandular epithelial tissue may be having just a single cell, secretory cell, or it may be having so many cells together. And in the glandular epithelial tissue, if you observe the shape, so for example, all these are the normal epithelial cells, and here one cell get modified like this. So this modified cell, we will call it as a goblet cell. Goblet cell, and the shape is goblet shape. This is the goblet shape, and from this cell the materials will be secreting. That means hormones, chemical messengers, they get secreted from this special cell. This special is example for glandular epithelial cell, and this kind of many cells together form glandular epithelial tissue, right? So in this way we can have different kinds of tissues here, and in the same way we can classify the total epithelial tissue into two major categories. Other two major categories. The first one is simple epithelial tissue, and the second one is complex epithelial tissue. Just like a simple permanent tissue and complex permanent tissue, like that we are having simple epithelial tissue and complex epithelial tissue. So simple epithelial tissue means that epithelial tissue layer, it is formed by single layer, just one thin layer. Complex epithelial tissue means many layers are present one above the other and forms a thick layer by the combination of many layers, and because of that reason we will call this complex as stratified epithelial tissue. We will call this one as stratified epithelial tissue. That means it is having many layers. Say for example, this is one layer, next layer, and below another layer, next layer, next layer, next layer. So many layers are present here, and they are going to form a sheet like structure, a small rigid thin structure. So this is example for complex epithelial tissue, where we can observe this kind of tissue. So here simple, okay, of course we will get the idea. Complex, if we consider the complex epithelial tissue, so it is made up of many layers, I told you, and when those layers are arranged many together, they form some sheet like structure, and that is very hard. That part will be usually hard little bit. For that one, if you consider the best example, sole of our feet, our foot sole, that sole, it will be very hard. And say for example, ನಮಗೇನಾದರೂ ಮುಳ್ಳು ಚುಚ್ಚಿತು ಅಂತ ಅಂದ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ, ಯಾವುದೋ ಮುಳ್ಳು ಒಳಗಡೆ ಹೋಗಿತ್ತು ಅಂತಂದರೆ ನಾವೇನು ಮಾಡ್ತಿದ್ವಿ, ಯೂಶ್ವಲ್ ಆಗಿ ಏನೋ ಒಂದು ಪಿನ್ ತೊಗೊಂಡು ಅದನ್ನು ಸ್ಕ್ರ್ಯಾಬ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೋತ ಹೋಗ್ತಿದ್ವಿ. ಪಿನ್ ತೊಗೊಂಡು ಸ್ಕ್ರ್ಯಾಬ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಒಳಗಿಂದ ಒಂದು ಮುಳ್ಳನ್ನು ಹೊರಗಡೆ ತೆಗಿತಿದ್ವಿ, ಹೌದಾ? ಅವಾಗ ನಮ್ಗೆ ಅರ್ಥ ಆಗ್ತಿತ್ತದು ಎಷ್ಟು ಲೇಯರ್ಸ್ಗಳು ಇರ್ತಿದ್ವು ಅಂತ. ನಾವು ಪಿನ್ನಿಂದ ತೆಗಿತಾ ಹೋದರೆ ಆ ಮುಳ್ಳು ಸಿಗೋರಿಗೆ ಅದನ್ನು ತೆಗಿತಿದ್ವಿ. ತೆಗಿಯೋ ಟೈಮ್ದಲ್ಲಿ ಪೌಡ್ರಿ ಥರ ಬರ್ತಿತ್ತದು, ಅಂಗಾಲಲ್ಲಿರೋ ಸ್ಕಿನ್. ಅಂದರೆ ಎಷ್ಟೋ ಲೇಯರ್ಸ್ಗಳಿದ್ದಾವೆ, ಡೆಡ್ ಲೇಯರ್ಸ್, ಅಫ್ಕೋರ್ಸ್ ಸೋ ಮೆನಿ ಲೇಯರ್ಸ್ ವಿಲ್ ಬಿ ಡೆಡ್, but that is made up of many layers. Such kind of epithelial tissue will refer it as a complex epithelial tissue, right? We are having simple one and we are having complex, major categories, and depending on the shape we are having other types: squamosal, columnar, cuboidal, ciliary, and glandular. And once again I am telling you, the animal tissue related concept you are going to see thoroughly in our first PU syllabus, and the chapter is structural organization in animals. So there you are going to see all the tissues thoroughly. So here I am giving just a brief introduction for the tissues. In the next class, let us observe remaining 3 tissues, right? And one more thing, if you are having any interesting questions, as Sahana asked, as Suhas asked, in the same way as Havargi. So how those students ask the questions, in the same way if you are having any interesting questions, please send your question in the form of video, and video should be within 10 to 15 seconds. Ask the question briefly, and let's have the interesting discussion on that question in our next class, along with the discussion of these 3 tissues. Yes, thank you.